Hey everybody, welcome back to the Lincoln Journal Stars 4 Downs. Luke Mullin here with your Nebraska football practice report. Huskers a little bit over 2 weeks away from their December 28th bowl game, the Pinstripe Bowl out there in New York City. And today heard from head coach Matt Rhule, defensive coordinator John Butler, and a few players about that upcoming bowl game, and of course about the chaos that is taking place here across college football in the month of December. Lots of reaction from Matt Rhule about coaching, player movement, all these sorts of things that Nebraska and schools across the country are dealing with here at this moment, just the way that the schedule lines up. And Matt Rhule saying he's had to do so much more than coach football this month. He's really been going through lots and lots of meetings, lots of discussions, figuring things out with players, and of course all the other logistics that come into play here with Nebraska traveling out to New York City. So it's been a real challenge for the coaches here in the building, and as well, with Nebraska having to hire some new members to its coaching staff as well. Matt Rhule saying today that they are going to be bringing in candidates for that defensive backs coach job that John Butler previously held. Of course, now the permanent defensive coordinator had previously been announced. He will coach Nebraska in the bowl game there, but that is a permanent role for him. Matt Rhule, hiring Butler to that gig here recently. And the reaction from Rhule and Butler today, very positive about the direction and the vision that Butler has presented for this Nebraska football defense. I think some of the elements of that Tony White defense that Butler came in and, of course, coached in last season as that secondary coach, he's going to keep that going forward. He's going to make his own adjustments. But for the most part, the way that Nebraska plays defense, the way that it has lined up, the way it has operated, Matt Rhule wanted that to remain consistent, and he felt John Butler was the guy who was going to get it done. And also heard from Matt Rhule say that several players came to him, not just guys in that secondary who were coached by Butler last season. They came to him and they said, "Hey, coach, we like playing for this guy. Keep him around, keep him moving forward." And that is certainly a ringing endorsement from those players on that Nebraska defense who are looking forward to be coached by Butler in those years that follow. And certainly for his part, the new defensive coordinator of Nebraska had some good things to say about the way that Nebraska played defense last season and the way that he's going to change it, looking for that third down stops. He liked the way that Nebraska forced turnovers, had a few pick sixes last season. Credit to his secondary, for getting the job done in that area, but, just not good enough in some of those elements of the game because Nebraska, Matt Rhule's talked about it. They want to play championship level football, championship level defense. That is something that this unit is looking forward to doing under John Butler. And as well, a couple New York City natives here talking today, Ramir Johnson, running back, and defensive lineman Cam Lenhart, two guys there from New York City, sharing a little bit of their experiences, a little bit of their joy and excitement to be part of this bowl trip, heading home to New York City. Matt Rhule as well, a New York native, but those two guys in particular, Johnson and Lenhart, talking about how many friends and family they're going to have there in the stands. Lenhart couldn't even put a number on it. Cousins, family members, aunts and uncles, all sorts who will be there. Seeing those guys play in person, said they're looking forward to getting some good food out there. Certainly they would know the spots that their teammates will rely on them. Mentioned some of the other New York City tourist destinations as standouts of the week, but those guys in particular really excited, really happy about that bowl game trip. And a final note for you, again, as these players make these transfer portal decisions, one guy in particular that Matt Rhule talked about today, tight end Nate Borkacher, junior, he walked on senior day, fifth-year junior, had potentially that 1 year of eligibility left, did enter in the transfer portal, and this comes after a very, very strong finish to the season under Dana Holgorsen for Borkacher, not just playing as a blocker, but catching passes there, an all-around tight end who started a couple games for Nebraska down the stretch. But Matt Rhule just saying, yes, it's part of this roster limit situation that Nebraska and all these other schools are dealing with. But again, it's all about the guys. He would have liked Borkacher to maybe stay and, take part in that bowl game as a guy who's worked hard for this Nebraska program to get there. But players, ultimately, they do have to make that decision for themselves, what's best, moving on potentially to find that new school. And, we've seen a couple players, Keona Davis and Emma Johnson, who, were reported to be entering into the portal. Again, these situations are fluid. The communication from other schools, where these guys may be looking at, their own personal decisions. There is so much going into that. So Matt Rhule, he's bearing with those players. He's having these conversations, and he certainly understands all the guys who are ending up making up their minds. And Nate Porkisher, one in particular, that he was sad to lose to the transfer portal. But all of this situation, this will be ongoing. Nebraska practicing. They've gotten the young guys in the fold. They're going to get the veterans back in. Some of that Boston College game prep here starting in the next couple weeks. But that will do it for today's Four Downs. We'll see you again next time.